Hey guys, today we have an allegation mixture question, and initially we're gonna solve it by a normal method, and by the end, after solving it once by normal method, we're gonna come to a shortcut method or more optimized method. So keep watching. Our telecom service provider engages male and female operators for answering 1,000 calls per day. Okay, there are male and female operators, and combined they answer 1,000 calls per day. A male operator can handle 40 calls per day, whereas a female operator can handle 50 calls per day. Okay, fine. Male can take 40 and females can take 50 calls. The male and the female operators get a fixed wage of 250 and 300 per day respectively. Okay, fine. Again, per day, male is getting 250, the female is getting 300. In addition, a male operator gets rupees 15 per call he answers, and a female operator gets rupees 10 per call she answers. Now, basically, 250 and 300 are, exclusive or regardless of if they pick any call or not, right? And if they pick any call during the job, they get rupees 15. The males get rupees 15 per call, and the females get rupees 10 per call. Now, to minimize the total cost, how many male operators should the service provider employ, assuming he has to employ more than 7 of the 12 female operators? Okay, so the operator has two objectives. One, to minimize the cost, right? If he has to or she has to minimize the cost, so they have to choose the employees which cost less, basically, all the employees which cost the minimum. They together, the group together will uh, essentially minimize the operating cost. Now, the second objective is more than 7 of the 12 female operators he has to employ. So, either 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12. These are the only possible numbers of female operators. Chalo, let's look at how to approach this question in a standard way. Since we have 8, 9, 10, and 12 for females, you know what? I'll make another column. Give me a second. So, male, female, right? Let's look at it this way. So females can be greater than 7 and less than equal to 12. So 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. If there are 8 females, then how many calls can they take? We'll write it in this bracket. See, one female can take 50 calls per day. So basically, 8 of them can take 400 calls and increment of 50. So 450, they can take 500. They can take 550, and at the last they can take 600 calls if there are 12 females. Now, 400 calls have already been taken. So the remaining 600 calls out of the 1,000 can be taken by the male. Similarly, here 550 calls remaining, here 500 calls remaining, 450 calls, and 400 calls. So the number of men who need to take these many calls would be easily divided. We can divide 40 calls per day by a male operator. So in a day, if they need 600 calls, so 600 by 40, that gives us 15. And 550 by 40, we can see that it's not going to be an integer. So men cannot be, fractions and decimals. So we directly remove this. 500 by 40, not an integer. 450 by 440, not an integer again. 400 by 40 gives us 10. So you see, out of the 5 cases we had, we have reduced it to just 2 cases. So the number of male can be either 15 or 10. Subsequently, if the number of males are 15, the number of females would be 8. And if the number of males are 10, the number of females would be 12. To check which one is minimum or maximum, we can directly calculate. So if there are 15 men, they cost 250 per day. And additionally, they are taking how many calls? 600 calls. So, and they charge 15 per call. They get 15 per call. Fine. This is going to be here. Yeah. male and female. Similarly, 8 females, they get 300 daily fixed, and they're taking 400 calls and they get 10 rupees. So totally it is 15 to 250. So 10 plus 5, 250, 2500, and 2500, 750. That is 3250 plus 9000. If I'm not wrong, 56 and 90 and double zero, which gives us essentially 12,250. Here, 2400 plus 4000, that gives us 6400. Am I right? 2400 and 4000, 6400. Fine. 568. This is the total cost for 15 males and 8 females. Now let's calculate it for 12 females and 10 males, right? M and F. 10 into 250 for males. All of this can be easily done in mind, but for you guys, I'm writing it down so there's no complications or confusions left. 15 would be something, and similarly, 8, not 8 this time, it's 12 into 300 per day plus 400 into, my bad. Why is this 300? How many? 600 calls. Sorry. Into 10 per day, per call. So 2500 plus 6000, that gives us 8500. And 3600 plus 6000, that gives us 9600. We add it up, gives us 1 and this. So this is definitely less than this. That means the number of females would be 12 and the number of males would be 10. What does the question ask? Question is asking about how many male operators should the service provider employ? So we will take 10. Now, instead of doing all this calculation, CAT expects us to, think better, think faster. So this was one of the ways you could have solved the question. But let's look at another, more efficient way. I'm going to erase this. So technically, the question has told us that the cost of, we'll write it, cost of one call for females and males, right? Let's calculate that. Female gets 300 per day, fine. So 300. And if that female takes 50 calls in a day, so they get 500. So for 50 calls, they are getting 800 rupees. Do you get it? 50 calls, 10 rupee per call, so 500. And per day, they are getting 300. So 800 divided by 50 would be, if I'm not wrong, 16. Now, same thing for the males, 250 per day. They're getting 15 per call and they can handle, my bad, yeah, not my bad, 40 into 15, that is 600. So as we can see, this is 850 by the number of calls they can handle is 40, which makes it 850 by 40. And this is going to be 1 point something. So something. We don't need to calculate this. Now we can see that the female cost per call is less. So why not maximize the number of females first? Because we know for every single call, the female is, costing us less than the male. And if we try to maximize, what's the highest number we can go for? That is 12. So we'll directly make females 12. And as soon as we do this, we get to see that 600 calls are answered because each of them can answer 50 calls. So 12 can answer 600. So remaining 400 would need to be answered by males. And if they are answering 50 calls per day, how many males do we need? Sorry, 40 calls per day. We need 10 men. They need 40 calls, therefore need 10 men. Easily answered, no calculation required. So that's how CAT expects us to solve the questions. Thank you. We'll meet in the next video.